of a recession, which is 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth.
I can tell you this.
Yesterday he said 2 negative quarters of GDP growth is not the technical definition of a recession.
It is not. It is not. I will say that the textbook definition of recession is not 2 negative quarters of GDP.
Think about a recession. Well, a recession is 2 quarters in a row of negative growth. I don't think we're going to have that.
Remember way back during the old-timey sepia-tone days of 2018 when everyone knew the definition of a woman and a recession? Donald Trump was president, and oddly, the media and Democrats were way more eager to declare a recession.
Thursday, that first reading of second quarter GDP, there's a possibility this is a negative number. 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth.
The definition of a recession is a decline in output for 2 consecutive quarters, or about 6 months.
A recession is just 2 consecutive quarters of economic decline.
When we talk about the possibility of a recession, what is a recession? A recession is 2 consecutive quarters.
2 consecutive quarters.
2 consecutive quarters.
2 consecutive quarters
of declining GDP.
Because as you know, it's 2 consecutive quarters of down GDP.
That signals it is actually a definition of a recession.
I mean, the most common definition of a recession, 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth.
As Richard said, even if we don't have 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth, we might have 1 quarter of growth so deep that it's classified as a recession.
And, you know, one of the reasons that we should all be very careful about even using the word recession, you can't really even officially use that. You know, one of the reasons that we should all be very careful about even using the word recession.
The White House has been eager to push back on this notion that 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth automatically equals a recession. Yes, it is a rule of thumb, but the White House is really emphasizing here and trying to educate the public essentially over the last week.
And to simply say, we have a good economy or we have a bad economy. Come on, Willie. We have to remember what's actually causing inflation. You've got a war in Ukraine. You have the challenge of getting the American people positive about the economy. It's very psychological. How do you change the way people think? Because we are in an economic recovery. A recession is just 2 consecutive quarters of economic decline.
Isn't it more important that the carbon emissions will be reduced by 40% by 2030? So, okay, inflation comes and goes, but the air we breathe is more important.
Well, I'm not concerned about a recession. And, I mean, you're always concerned about a recession. Doesn't sound like a recession to me. Thank you very much.